It started like any other evening. Friends gathered around, the smell of steak on the grill, cold beers in hand, the casual hum of conversation floating around the campfire. We were laughing, telling stories, just another barbecue on a summer night. But then, someone threw out a topic that made the air feel suddenly heavy, almost suffocating. Celebrity free pass, they said, as if it was nothing more than a silly joke. I didn't even understand what it meant at first, so I asked, "What the heck is a celebrity free pass?" The words hung in the air, and when Sadie explained it, everything around me seemed to shift. It was a strange concept. A hall pass, they said, an unspoken agreement between partners that if one of them ever had the chance to sleep with a celebrity, it wouldn't count as cheating. No strings, no guilt, just an open invitation to step outside the relationship without consequence. My gut twisted as I tried to process it. My wife, Emmy, sat next to me, her expression unreadable. But then, I noticed something I hadn't expected. A faint smile tugging at the corner of her lips, something almost playful, like she was considering the idea. I felt a cold weight settle in my stomach. Was she serious? Or was this just another one of those harmless, fun conversations? I looked at her, but she was too busy laughing with the others, caught up in the moment as if this was just another silly game. But for me, something didn't sit right. A seed of doubt had been planted, and I couldn't shake the feeling that tonight, this conversation, was the beginning of something far deeper than a joke. I still couldn't quite wrap my head around it when Sadie explained this celebrity free pass. She spoke so casually as if it was the most normal thing in the world. "It's an agreement between partners," she said. "If you ever get the chance to be with a celebrity, you get a pass. No cheating. No guilt. Just go for it." The words hit me like a slap, but I tried to keep my composure. I kept looking at Emmy, hoping she didn't take it seriously. But she was still smiling, joining in on the discussion, as if it were just another topic of idle conversation. I couldn't understand it. How could this even be a thing? How could someone agree to this? To me, it felt like a breach of trust, a compromise of everything a relationship should stand for. But I didn't want to make a scene. I tried to brush it off, to laugh along with the group. The others seemed so comfortable, nodding in agreement, throwing out celebrity names like it was nothing. But I couldn't shake the disbelief, the feeling that something had shifted. I glanced at Emmy again, hoping to see her share my shock. But instead, she was looking at me with a little grin, a spark of something in her eyes that I hadn't expected. She was in on it. And the worst part was, I wasn't sure if she was just playing along or if she actually liked the idea. My mind raced. I wanted to dismiss it, to tell myself it was a joke, but deep down, I felt the weight of something much bigger brewing beneath the surface. I watched Emmy, her smile widening as the conversation kept going. She was more into it than I had imagined. The way she leaned in, laughing along with the others, tossing out the names of actors she thought were attractive. It was like she was caught up in the fun of it all, but something about it twisted inside me. I had always thought we were on the same page about things like loyalty, trust. But now, sitting there, I felt a creeping suspicion that maybe I didn't know her as well as I thought. I leaned over, trying to keep my voice steady. "Emmy, are you serious? Would you actually consider something like this?" My words hung between us, thick with the weight of what I was asking. I needed to know. Was this just a game to her, or was she genuinely intrigued by the idea? She looked at me, her eyes a little wide, and then she shrugged it off with a laugh like it was all nothing. "Oh, come on, Mark. It's just a joke. We're just having fun, okay?" Her tone was light, but there was something in her smile that made my stomach churn. She didn't see it as a big deal, but I couldn't let it go. I wanted to believe her, but I knew something had shifted, something I couldn't ignore. The rest of the night passed in a blur of laughter and casual chatter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that things had changed. That seed of doubt was planted now, and no matter how much I tried to push it away, it kept growing. I kept asking myself, had I missed something before? Had I really understood what she wanted, or was this just the beginning of something else? Something I didn't want to face. The conversation kept going, the topic shifting from one celebrity to the next, everyone laughing, casually throwing out names like it was no big deal. But for me, it felt like the walls were closing in. I could feel my discomfort growing, knotting up in my stomach as more and more people chimed in. My mind kept circling back to the same question. How could they be so okay with this? Then Emmy spoke up again and my heart skipped a beat. She casually mentioned the name of an actor, someone I knew she had a thing for. The way she said it, her tone light and teasing, made my chest tighten. It wasn't just a name thrown out for fun. There was something in the way she said it, something in her eyes that made it clear this wasn't just a joke for her. She had actually thought about it. This wasn't just harmless banter, it was real for her. And that realization hit me harder than anything. I tried to ignore it, tried to laugh along with the group, but the words, "celebrity free pass," kept echoing in my head. Every time someone else chimed in, agreeing or suggesting their own picks, I could feel the distance between us growing. I thought we were a team, a unit, but now I wasn't so sure anymore. I glanced over at Emmy, hoping to find some hint that she wasn't serious, that she was just going along with the crowd. But she was smiling, her face flushed from laughter, and in that moment, I felt more alone than I had in a long time. She was slipping away and I couldn't stop it. The tension in my chest tightened, and I knew that things were about to change, even if I couldn't see how yet. I was just about to turn in for the night when my phone rang, the screen lighting up with Emmy's name. I hesitated, surprised she was calling this late, but I answered quickly, still expecting a normal conversation. But the second I picked up, I knew something was wrong. There was loud music in the background, the sound of laughter, and Emmy's voice, off, slurred, unsteady. She was drunk. It wasn't like her, not when she was out with friends. I could tell she was having fun, but there was something else there, something I couldn't put my finger on. "Mark, you're not going to believe it," she said, her words almost drowned out by the noise. "I met Joshua, from my favorite soap opera." She laughed like it was the most exciting thing to happen to her in ages. I tried to process it, but the next part hit me like a punch to the gut. "Guess what?" she shouted over the music. "I'm going to use my free pass with him. Isn't that amazing?" I froze. The words didn't register at first. My mind couldn't catch up to the situation. My heart raced, my thoughts scrambled. Was she serious? Was this some kind of sick joke? I could feel the anger rising in my chest, but I didn't know how to react. I kept asking her, "What do you mean? Are you actually going to do this?" But before I could get any clarity, she just laughed and said something about telling me all about it when she got back, then hung up. I sat there in the dark, staring at my phone, unable to comprehend what had just happened. My head was spinning. Was she really going through with it? The betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks, and all I could do was sit in disbelief, unable to grasp that this was real. This wasn't just some playful discussion anymore. This was something she was actually planning to do. I called her back, texted her, but it was clear, she wasn't going to take me seriously. The trust between us had already been shattered, and I wasn't sure how to fix it or if I even could. I tried to call her back immediately, my fingers trembling as I dialed her number again and again. Each time it went straight to voicemail. I left messages, pleading, angry, desperate. "Emmy, don't do this. Please." "This isn't you," I said, my voice tight with emotion. I told her this was a mistake, that we had made promises to each other, and this broke everything. But the phone calls went unanswered. The texts I sent the same. I felt like I was losing my mind. Each attempt to reach her only reminded me that she wasn't there, that she had already made up her mind. She had chosen him. She had chosen to break the trust we had built, and I couldn't stop her. The anger kept bubbling up inside me, mixing with this deep, raw pain. I could feel my heart tightening with every unanswered call, every ignored message. What hurt the most was the emptiness in her response. Nothing. No apology. No regret. Just silence, and then the finality of her laughter in my ear, as if she hadn't just shattered something irreplaceable. I couldn't understand how she could be so casual, so unbothered by what she was doing to us. To me. I kept telling myself it had to be a joke, that she couldn't really be serious. But deep down I knew the truth. She was gone. Maybe not physically, but emotionally she had already checked out. And there was nothing I could do to bring her back. The realization hit me like a brick wall, and I sank into a place I hadn't expected, hopelessness. The trust was broken, and I was left to pick up the pieces of a marriage that was no longer what I thought it was. I couldn't sit still. The uncertainty, the unanswered questions were driving me crazy. I needed to know if Emmy was really going through with this, or if I had just misunderstood the whole situation. I couldn't get a hold of her, and the silence was unbearable. That's when I decided to reach out to Jack. His wife, Jen, worked with Emmy, and maybe, just maybe, she had some insight into what was really going on. I wasn't sure what I was hoping for. A reassurance maybe? A sign that it was all just a misunderstanding? But deep down I knew the truth. I needed confirmation. I drove to Jack's house, my thoughts racing. When he opened the door, he looked surprised to see me, but let me in without question. I quickly explained everything, what had happened, the phone call, the texts, my suspicions. Jack listened quietly, and I could see the concern in his eyes, but he didn't say much at first. Finally, he agreed to call Jen. Maybe she knew something. I sat there, my heart pounding as Jack dialed her number. When he finally got her on the phone, I held my breath, desperate for any kind of answer. Jack casually asked Jen about the trip, about Emmy, trying to sound like it was just a normal conversation. But then Jen hesitated and my stomach dropped. She mentioned that she had seen Emmy at the club with the actor. She told Jack how they danced together, and how Emmy had even whispered to her about using the free pass. My worst fears were confirmed. I could barely breathe as I listened, the weight of the truth sinking in. This wasn't just some drunken joke or a passing fantasy. Emmy was serious. She was planning to go through with it, and nothing I said or did seemed to matter. I felt a mix of anger, disbelief, and utter heartbreak. I wanted to scream, but instead I just sat there, numb, as Jack spoke to Jen. The betrayal felt deeper now, like it was being etched into my soul. I wasn't imagining it. Emmy was really going to do this. I couldn't wait any longer. Saturday came, and I was a wreck, my mind racing with every possible scenario. When Emmy walked through the door, all smiles and excitement, I froze. She looked like she had just returned from the best trip of her life, her face glowing, completely unaware of the storm brewing inside me. I stood there, barely able to breathe, my heart pounding in my chest. "Did you get any of my calls?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, but it cracked. She barely looked at me and shrugged it off. "Oh, my phone broke. I dropped it and shattered the screen. Didn't get any of your messages." It was an obvious lie, but I didn't have the energy to call her out on it right away. I didn't need to hear any more lies. I went straight to the point. "You called me Thursday. You said you met Joshua from the soap opera and planned to use your free pass with him. What happened, Emmy?" Her reaction was immediate, surprisingly calm, almost too calm. She glanced at me, then looked away like she couldn't care less about the chaos she just caused. "Yeah, we were at a club. Joshua was there. We started talking, and he's so charming, Mark. One thing led to another, and well, I used my pass." Her words hit me like a slap. She didn't even seem to realize how deeply this had cut me. The casualness in her tone made everything worse. It was like she was telling me a story about her favorite vacation, not about betraying me, our marriage, and everything we'd promised to each other. I tried to keep it together, but the hurt and the anger were building, choking me. "You actually think I'd be okay with this? You really think I'd be happy for you?" My voice was shaky now, and I couldn't control it. "This is our marriage, our family, and you just threw it all away for some actor." That's when her tone shifted just a little. She looked at me, almost confused. "Mark, it's not a big deal. It was just a couple of nights with someone I'll never see again. That's what the pass is for, right? We agreed on that years ago." "We never agreed on this," I wanted to scream. But I stayed calm, though I could feel the distance between us widening with every word. "I never agreed to this, Emmy. I told you it was just a joke to me." But she didn't get it. She just didn't get it. She went on, telling me all the details of the night, how amazing he was, how he wanted her to keep her wedding ring on while they were together. She laughed as she said it, like it was some kind of twisted joke. I felt sick. Every word from her was another twist of the knife. She had no remorse, no understanding of what she had done. She just saw it as some fun, wild story, something to brag about, like it was no big deal. The emotional divide between us had never felt so vast. I told her flat out, "You cheated on me, Emmy, and you can't even see that." She just scoffed as if I was the one overreacting. "It's not cheating, Mark. We talked about this. It's my free pass." And in that moment, I realized she would never understand. The woman I had married, the woman I thought I knew, was gone. The finality of it hit me all at once. Emmy sat there, casually explaining her actions, like she was telling me about a harmless night out. It was clear now, she didn't see what she had done as a betrayal. She wasn't sorry. She didn't regret it. She was justifying it like it was something we'd agreed on years ago. That's when it fully sank in. This wasn't a mistake to her. It wasn't a moment of weakness or a lapse in judgment. To Emmy, this was just a part of our relationship, something she felt entitled to because of a half-baked conversation from years ago. She had crossed a line, and in her mind, nothing was wrong. There was no remorse, no understanding of the depth of the hurt she had caused. I sat there, numb, but inside I was breaking apart. My trust in her, everything I thought we had, was shattered beyond repair. I could feel the weight of it pressing on my chest, suffocating me. This wasn't just about her infidelity anymore. It was about everything we had built together, the years, the family, and how easily she had torn it all down. I couldn't stay in this anymore. The realization that she didn't see the damage, that she wasn't going to change, hit harder than anything else. I knew right then that there was no going back. I couldn't fix this. I couldn't change her mind. But I could control what came next. I had to think about what was best for me, for the kids. I needed to make sure I was ready for what was coming. The betrayal wasn't just emotional anymore. It was a breach of trust that I couldn't overlook. I made a decision. I was done. It was time to protect myself and my children. I needed a lawyer. Someone who would help me navigate this, someone who wouldn't back down, someone who would ensure I came out of this with what I needed: custody of our kids and a sense of stability in the chaos she had created. My next steps were clear, and as hard as it was to admit it, I knew this was the end. I was moving on, and there was no turning back. The days following the court hearing felt like a blur. The weight of everything I'd been through was still fresh, but there was a strange sense of clarity settling over me. The decision had been made, and I wasn't going to let Emmy's actions dictate my future any longer. I was done trying to fix something that was broken beyond repair. I focused on what really mattered: my kids. They were the only thing that kept me grounded through all the chaos, and now I had to build something stable for them. A new routine. A fresh start. I was determined to give them the life they deserved, one that wasn't tainted by the wreckage Emmy had left behind. I knew I couldn't fix the past. I couldn't undo the betrayal or make sense of what had happened. But I could move forward. I could provide a safe, stable environment for my kids, and that became my singular focus. The mess with Emmy was over. She had made her choices, and now she had to live with the consequences. The divorce was finalized. I had full custody of the kids. As hard as it was a relief to finally close that chapter. The emotional turmoil had taken its toll, but there was a quiet sense of peace in knowing that I had control over my future again. Emmy didn't make it easy. She tried to reach out, to apologize, to put on a show of regret, but I wasn't interested in any of it. I'd heard it all before, and nothing would ever make me forget what she had done. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I was truly moving on. My kids and I were starting fresh, building a new life together, and that was enough for me. The emotional scars would take time to heal, but with every day that passed, I grew stronger. And though it wasn't easy, I knew I was making the right choice. There was no going back. It was time to move forward.